Hi, and welcome to Getting Answers. My name is Curtis, the entrepreneur show that is about getting answers to the questions that you have as an entrepreneur or professional. Here in our show, we're going to be talking about relationships and why they are so important. And my question to you now is, are relationships trending and you're not? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about putting relationships before profits, meaning that relationships have always been important. There's never been a time where they have not been important. And I guess the business world, or just the marketing, or all those things that are out there, we've placed the profits before the relationships. And we've had it backwards for a long time. And so more so now, you're hearing more about the relationships, about how important relationships are. And so hence the title, Are Relationships Trending and You're Not? And it's a question that really requires a much deeper thought, because so often, again, we fell into a trend that was many years ago, or at least for many years it's been in existence, where we placed the profit before the relationship. And I think people are just coming out of that. It's like letting a prisoner free, if you will, and a person realizes that, wow, you know what, I'm more than just a number. I'm someone that matters and that has an opinion. And it's been a long time where we're finding out that really it's important that other opinions matter. And we haven't taken those opinions into, or at least value those opinions, because the profits have been before the relationships. And it's interesting because a lot of companies, a lot of businesses are really kind of catching on to it. And again, relationships have always been important. And it's not just because the market goes that way. Relationships have always been important. And I think, again, hence the title, Are Relationships Trending and You're Not? Again, think about it. How often have we as people, individuals, placed our profits before relationships? And it doesn't necessarily mean a monetary value or item. It could mean that maybe putting ourselves before other people and making others less important, and we're standing on top of the mountain looking down at them. So it is important to understand that relationships do matter. They've always mattered from the very beginning. And just because we've got a bunch of people up top or on the top pulling the strings, if you will, and saying otherwise, now we're finding out that they were wrong. And I think the entire world, I think, is just moving into a place where we're really understanding the importance of relationships and why they matter. And it's also understandable that if relationships matter to us, we're asking, the products that we create are answering questions, solving problems, or the service that we provide are answering questions and solving problems. And even in our conversations, they're answering questions and solving problems. And all too often, again, when we had it the wrong way, and I can say that and feel confident in saying that because it in fact was the wrong way, people are really coming into a place where they're saying to themselves, well, you know what? I matter. My money matters. My opinion matters. And without the opinion of people, or through some kind of criticism or critique, be it destructive or be it a critical in a sense where it's could be damaging, we can learn from that as well. We can learn from the criticism that's helpful. also, and that's, again, it's important that we take criticism in a constructive manner and learn from it either way. One person may say that, hey, this product really stinks, blah, 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 and different things. And another person may say, well, there could be some things that could be changed. And either one of those opinions are very important, because we can glean from the person who's more forward. We can also glean from the person who's a little bit subdued in their opinions, or at least sharing what they want to say. And either way we can learn. But again, we must put the relationships first, folks. And I recently had an interview with someone not too long ago, a gentleman by the name of Art Jones, with The Art of Standing Out. Almost forgot the name of his business there. Again, his name is Art Jones, and his organization is The Art of Standing Out. And he really brought home some really awesome pointers, some really awesome nuggets when we were talking, in a sense that most people are not asking the thought-provoking questions. They're looking at the obvious and assuming the obvious. Oh, the sun is out. Yeah, the sun is out. It's a wonderful day. Yeah, it's a wonderful day. And all of these things can be obvious and yet at the same time very subjective. But nevertheless, there are some things that are just apparent and we both recognize. We're both, again, they're obvious to both parties. And then there are the things that require a much deeper thought. And that's where we build a relationship. And this is what Art was discussing. Mr. Art Jones was discussing, again, the art of standing out. Is that when you're asking the thought-provoking questions, folks, that's how we build the relationships. We're building relationships on a much deeper level. But all too often, or well before the trend had become a trend, in a sense where we've been building, or at least trying to, or at least not trying, but placing our profits before the relationship. None of the things that Art had spoken about, those things weren't even a factor. Though they have always truly been a factor, but in a sense of building a relationship, they were void. It was about the obvious. It was about, as Art and I discussed, oh, great tie. Oh, that tie really looks nice on you. Oh, that's a nice dress that you're wearing, to a prospective client. Only to find out, if you wanted to sell that client bigger and better product or a greater service with a greater cost, you would have to dig deeper and build a better relationship or a deeper bond with that person. It wasn't so much about, or at least one time it was about maybe taking a prospective client out to dinner and talking about it over dinner. And now it's more than just dinner. It's creating a relationship. And that's what we need to do. We need to create relationships, folks. And that's how we become profitable. And most, I'm going to venture to say, when Apple or some of these other giant companies produce a product or put a product on the market, it comes with all kinds of different bugs. But it's only when the opinion of my opinion and your opinion matters that the changes are made. So if Apple were to put profits before people, I guarantee you they would not be in a position that they're in right now. So let's try that on for size. Placing relationships before profit. You will always be a winner. There's no mistake about it. And I want to go even just a little deeper, because as a transformational speaker, that's what I do. I dig into the psyche of people and get into all that stuff that sometimes we just don't want to touch as people. And nevertheless, it's there. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, if you will, and we're like, oh, hey, how's it going? And we're trying to ignore it. But nevertheless, this huge elephant, excuse me, this huge elephant does exist. and it's right in the middle of the room. And so how do we ignore it? Well, in most cases, we've gone, at least made many great attempts in trying to ignore it because it was something we just did not want to deal with. And rightfully so. I've had those times too, where excuse me, where there were things I just did not want to deal with. And it was a problem for me, but quietly, at least I thought no one else knew about it. But sometimes when we're uncomfortable sometimes with different things in life, others can see that we are also uncomfortable because they've been uncomfortable. We know the feeling of being uncomfortable. We know the elephant in the room, if you will, whether we can see it or not. We know when someone's uncomfortable. And I guarantee you that most of the people that we're dealing with, they know that we're uncomfortable. So there are some things that we have to be willing to deal with. And again, we're still talking about relationships before profits. Because, again, getting back to the elephant in the room, this huge elephant that is really in the way of us building greater relationships, better relationships, stronger relationships, and deeper relationships with people, it first has to start with us. And the deeper we get with people, in a sense, when we have our relationships hinged on deep relationships with thought-provoking questions, if you will. And though the obvious is the obvious, for all intents and purposes, it's the obvious. And those things are wonderful. Oh, great day, how's it going? And they may be conversation starters. In most cases they are. But here's the thing. The elephant in the room will never go away until we begin to deal with the issues that are sometimes making us uncomfortable. And we can be uncomfortable for a host of different reasons. Too many to number in this particular show. But they're there. So as we learn how to deal with our own uncomfortability and recognizing, hey, you know what? There's an elephant in the room and I need to get rid of it. And it's interesting enough because the elephant, in a lot of ways or a lot of cases, does not ever really go away. We learn how to capture the moment and deal with it and recognize that, hey, it's there, but I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to say, you know what? I see you, elephant. I know that you're there. I know that this issue exists with me, but yet I'm going to push forward and continue walking through it. Because if not, the elephant becomes a stumbling block in the way of our relationships. And again, hence the title of this Facebook Live event is, are relationships trending and you're not? So when we find, or at least come to that place that relationships are important, we'll come to a place where, wait a minute, I've dealt with my own elephants in the room, if you will. They're no longer stumbling blocks. And from one relationship or from one situation to the next situation, the elephant will appear in all different times, or at all different times, in all different situations. And when that happens, you got to acknowledge it, not ignore it, because a lot of times the very thing that we're trying to ignore is really a conversation piece or something that a answer that we're, or a question that we're solving, and it can help someone else. And it doesn't mean that we're going to lay our cards on the table, whether it be to your client or your customer. It doesn't mean that. It means that you've dealt with the situation in a creative fashion, and you can now laugh at yourself, have fun with it, and build even better relationships, stronger relationships. And really, that's essentially the bottom line, is that that's where our profits are going to be, in the relationships. So we can turn it around and say, yes, my relationships are part of that trend. My relationships are trending, whether it be personal or business. Either or, my relationships are trending. And I'm actually not even watching the broadcast, I'm just doing this broadcast. So if you guys have any questions and things you'd like to discuss during this broadcast, please feel free to place your questions in the comments there, and I'll get to your questions as soon as possible. And if you got any concerns or whatever the case might be, and how I could help you with any questions that you need to have answered, again, please do not hesitate. My name is Curtis Brooks, and this broadcast is not going to be very long, but again, I just wanted to come on and introduce myself. Again, my name is Curtis Brooks. I am a transformational speaker, and this is Getting Answers, the entrepreneur show that's about getting answers to the questions that you have as an entrepreneur or professional. So if I could help out in any way to answer any of those difficult questions, or again, dig a little deeper into why relationships are important, at least why they should be important to all of us. And we're going to, again, change that paradigm that's been taking place for so many years. We're going to switch it around and make relationships important. Place relationships before profits. And in fact, understand that the relationships are the source to all things that you would hope for. They're the source to our peace. Think about it. They're the source to our bottom line, ensuring that our bottom line, be it product or service that you may offer, they're the source to ensure that those bottom lines are in the black, not in the red. So it's important on all different levels, through relationships with your family members, wife, husband, spouse, whatever the case. Relationships are important. So if I can answer any questions that you may have, be it entrepreneur, professional, or personal perhaps, contact me. Here on Facebook, my Twitter account is also available. That's I am Curtis Brooks. I am Curtis Brooks there on Twitter, and of course Facebook Live here. So again, my name is Curtis Brooks, and I am going to be signing out here. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me here on my site here. My professional page here, again, is I am Curtis Brooks here on Facebook. Thanks a lot.